Hi, and welcome to BizTech's APAC Cybersecurity Show. Every week, we update the region on the latest threats and incidences to help you better protect yourselves. Now, today, the spotlight is on Thailand, Malaysia, and the Philippines. And joining me is my regular co host, Benjamin Ang, who's now head of the Center of Excellence for the National Security at the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies at the NTU in Singapore. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. Glad to be back.
Now, Ben, for a start, we start with Thailand, where the research department of the Stock Exchange of Thailand has provided a stark warning about the escalating threat from cyber criminals. Now, the numbers are staggering. So, the department estimates that cybercrime inflicts every day approximate damage of 585 million Thai baht or 2.5 million US dollars a day this year. Now, they emphasize the need to really address this pressing issue because, after all, it is globally an 8 trillion US dollar problem this year in 2023. Now, according to SET, cybercrime is continuing to escalate in Thailand. They had 218,000 complaints related to cyber security threats within just 1 year last year. And that's about 85 million baht, as I said earlier, 2.5 million US dollars each day. Now, now, Ben, this is staggering numbers. What are your thoughts on this?
Brian, unfortunately, this is a reminder that cybercrime is a problem for every country in the world, not just what we consider to be the advanced high tech countries, the large countries. Everyone, all our Southeast Asian nations are all victims of cybercrime. So we all have to be careful. And look at what they're doing. A lot of the cases are actually fraud, which is being done online. And people are using the age old tactics of con men, just putting it online, that's all.
And so this is the interesting thing, right? Some of it is not even very, very sophisticated. But then, if you look at our next story, where it is a fairly sophisticated attack uh, that happened in Malaysia, and it happened to an international company, Prudential Assurance Malaysia. It revealed that its two businesses, Prudential Assurance Malaysia Berhad and Prudential BSN Takaful Berhad, were among global firms that were impacted by the MOVEit cyber attack. Now, according to Prudential, it was very likely that the incident affected the data of personal agents and customers. Now, what is this MOVEit thing all about? The MOVEit is used by companies to transfer large files. And so, according to Cybersecurity Malaysia's CEO, Dr. Amaruddin Abdul Wahab, he, when asked to comment on this, basically said that companies hit by ransomware should not give into the demands of hackers and instead ask these companies to seek assistance from authorities. So, Ben, this is a huge dilemma, isn't it? To pay or not to pay. But the
Yeah,
reality is, paying doesn't really solve the problem.
that's the facts, Brian. There's so many surveys, research shows that paying does not guarantee that you get your data back. In fact, almost half the time, you're not going to get your data back. You're not going to get back the confidential things that they're extorting. Sometimes
So,
it's because the criminals are dishonest.
mhm.
Surprise, right? The criminals are dishonest. Sometimes it's because the tools that they give you to retrieve your data don't work. So what are you going to do? Sue them? So if you're a victim, paying doesn't help at least half the time. And what we really need to be doing is making sure that we've got the processes to be people keeping themselves safe, but also the processes to detect when these things happen so that you can reduce the amount of harm to just maybe one or two terminals instead of an entire company.
and you see, one of the key things around this is the following. If you look at cybercrime in a holistic fashion, a lot of people tend to take individualistic approach, but really what we should be looking at is taking approach that is a partnership between government as well as the private sector. And this leads us to our third story, which is basically how the partnership is happening in the Philippines. So, in one instance, for example, the Cybercrime Investigation Coordinating Center has now just signed a memorandum of agreement with consumer advocacy group Citizen Watch Philippines to help stem the growing cases of consumer fraud. Now, the CICC Executive Director, Alexander Ramos, said that the MOA with Citizen Watch would help CICC reach targeted consumers and empower them through cybersecurity training and campaigns. So, what this is really interesting that I thought was fascinating was here it was an opportunity for the government to partner with the private sector, but not to help companies, but really to help individuals as a whole in this fight against cybersecurity.
Yeah, Brian, the public private partnership is really important because a lot of the systems that need to be protected, a lot of individuals that need to be protected, are really scattered. And things like consumer advocacy groups like this, Citizen Watch Philippines, are the first point of contact for many consumers who are affected by fraud because they may not feel that they're going to get any help from, say, the banks where their money was taken from, or the government may seem to be too large an entity to know which department to get help from. But these consumer advocacy groups are on the ground and they can help to be that link. And also, governments can team up with tech companies because tech companies have a lot of access to information. They are really always observing the data of various attacks and they can help to share information as well. So a lot of cooperation is needed.
Now, on that note, Ben, that's it for this week's APAC Cybersecurity Show. Thanks for coming on the show.
Most welcome. Glad to be here.
We've been speaking to Benjamin Ang, head of the Center of Excellence for the National Security at the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies at the Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. And this has been BizTech's APAC Cybersecurity Show. I'm Brian Fernandez. This show will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.